What you're about to hear, it's not a history. Think of it more as a memory, a confession. You see, I have seen worlds begin and I have watched them end. My purpose wasn't forged in some grand golden hall. No, it was found in the ashes of a dead universe. So, let me show you what I learned.
It all began with a verdict, a judgment from gods who thought they knew the one true shape of existence. They cast me out, branded me an exile. And in their judgment, they believed they were ending me. But they were so wrong. What they thought was an end was actually a beginning. They were planting a seed. My journey started in disgrace, sure, but it would end in renewal.
So, Act 1, a crown of ice. Before the exile, before the fire, my entire world was just cold, a silent, unmoving perfection. I served an ancient order, and I wore that crown of ice, believing its eternal stillness was the only truth that mattered.
We had a name for it, the Iron Rime, a universe locked in a perfect, unchanging state. It was a creed of absolute stillness. Nothing could grow, but, well, nothing could die either. I was its agent, its enforcer. And in my ignorance, I honestly believed this suffocating perfection was the highest form of existence.
But here's the thing about a world that cannot change. It's a world that's already dead, isn't it? The little spark I carried deep inside me betrayed that frozen creed. And just like that, my world shattered. Which brings us to the next part of my story, the long exile.
My fall, well, it was absolute. It started with a trial, where my very nature was declared a crime against reality itself. From there, I was thrown out of their golden halls and into the endless void. And that was the start of my wandering, a lonely, lonely path across all 9 realms, where I became a silent witness to the true, violent, messy nature of creation. Act 2. 2 broken worlds. You know, they thought my exile was a punishment. Turns out, it was an education. It forced me to see the universe for what it really was, a constant, brutal battleground between 2 flawed extremes. And I started to realize that neither one held the answer.
And my education really came from watching these 2 forces go at it. On one side, you had the Aesir's perfect order, that same Iron Rime I once served, only now I saw it as a rigid, suffocating stagnation. And on the other side, the Fire Giant's chaos, the Crimson Spark. It was wild, it was alive, sure, but it was also a mindless, destructive consumption that just devoured everything in its path.
So my conclusion was pretty simple. My old masters had built a beautiful prison, a perfect cage of ice. But their enemies, they didn't offer any real freedom. Their fire was just a blind hunger, a chaotic engine that led to nothing but ruin. In the end, both paths led to the same place, nothingness.
And that brings us to Act 3, the middle path. Standing there between 2 broken infinities, I rejected them both. My time as a silent witness, that was over. I was going to become an architect. I decided to forge a new path, one that brought together both creation and destruction.
This was the one question that just echoed in the silence of all those dead realms. Is existence really just a choice between a frozen prison and a world burning down to embers? I refused to accept that. There had to be another way, a purpose that could hold both the ice and the flame.
And that's when my real purpose started to crystallize, built on 3 simple steps. First, I would learn to wield a tempered fire, to use the Crimson Spark, but guide it with intent, not just rage. Second, I'd use that fire to purge all the stagnant ruins left behind by the Iron Rime. And third, from that cleansing ash, I would nurture new life.
I finally understood my place. I wasn't a god of cold order. I wasn't a monster of mindless chaos. I was something else entirely, something necessary. I shed my old self and I became the gardener of ash.
The gardener archetype, that's what I became. The architect of the cosmic cycle. See, my role wasn't to destroy for destruction's sake. It was to clear the way, to burn away what has grown rigid and died, so that its very ash could provide the nutrients for whatever was going to be born next. It's destruction, yes, but in the service of creation. My actions didn't choose a victor, they restored balance. I learned that the Iron Rime wasn't evil, it provides the unyielding foundation, the structure that life needs to exist. And the Crimson Spark wasn't evil either, it provides the breath of life, the catalyst for all growth.
One simply cannot exist without the other, and together, well, together they create the eternal dance.
And so, my long exile ended, not with a return home, but with the exception of an unending roll. I am no longer a wanderer. I am a guardian, silent, always watching, making sure the cycle continues, ensuring that the dance between ice and flame never, ever ceases.
So you see, my story is more than just a memory. It's a parable for all things. For dying stars, yeah, but also for our own lives, our own ideas. So I'll leave you with the same question I had to answer for myself. In your world, what has grown stagnant? What must be burned away so that new life can finally grow?